Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to try to make this a quick one, but I do want to highlight a comment that a commenter had made in the comment section of one of my videos. I think the video was entitled "The Problem with Parasocial Relationships in K-Pop," something like that. And underneath that video in the comment section, our dear Auntie Rob, who is no stranger to the comment section of any of my YouTube videos, left a very lengthy comment, as she normally does. But I love reading her comments because, I don't know, there's just so much there that maybe I might not have even thought about or considered. She'll write something that I didn't even think about, but it's a possibility, and it's a very strong possibility. I love her comments. I wish I had a collage. I could easily just make a whole collage of all her comments, just reading everything back. It was actually one of her comments that got me to think about and re-look at Wavy's Lucas along with Ho Shining, who made a video, and I was like, let me go back and look at that docu-series that they did to find out that, yeah, what they were saying was absolutely right. And I was just trying to believe that SM had his back. But anyway, Auntie Rob left this comment, and honestly, this is the truth of how a lot of people, including myself, feel about the state of K-pop. We want to be positive about it, we want to be excited about it, but then there are issues that aren't addressed, and every time someone addresses it, nowadays it's seen as, oh, you're being too negative, or you're talking about the negative aspects of K-pop. We need to stop focusing on that all the time. And I get the sentiment that, like, yes, all the time it's probably not healthy to focus on it. However, I think we should have conversations about these things that are happening in K-pop. It is very serious because these are young people's lives, and their development into young adulthood is being constantly tampered with by fans, by companies, by CEOs. There are so many stories. There's so many stories out there that we probably won't even know the real story of because it's so dark. You don't know that X, Y, and Z is going on. And so, yeah, I think it's important that we do talk about these things because these are people's lives, not even just idols. Let's just take idol out of it. These are people's lives here that are at stake. And yes, I know that there are fans that have this passive aggressive feeling towards K-pop idols because they're like, oh, well, they signed their life away to this company. They should know what they're getting themselves into. And I'm just like, but it shouldn't be that way, right? We shouldn't just say, oh, well, it's normal, and so let's just ignore it and focus on all the positive things. No, this is wrong. And like I said all the time, I understand that I don't have the power to fix any of this stuff. But what I do have is a voice. And so I'm going to use my voice and talk. I'm going to speak what I believe is wrong and what should be changed. I can't change it, but I can certainly put it out there, right? That way, at least I'm not doing this in vain. There is a greater purpose, and maybe my words will manifest in that greater purpose somewhere in the future, along with many other K-tubers who have voiced their concerns about the state of the K-pop industry as it stands. But that said, I want to read to you guys what Auntie Rob commented underneath one of my videos, and this speaks to what we've been feeling and what a lot of us have been feeling. I can definitely speak for myself that the more I cover these things, the more I start to feel like, when is this going to change? She says here, it's really sad. This phenomenon has stolen a lot of the joy out of K-pop. My kids introduced me to K-pop around 2014. To my surprise, my love and admiration for K-pop actually outlived my kids' standing long before I fully understood them when they, as adults, left the nest into young adulthood. Having empty nest syndrome, I'd listen to the very music that filled the rooms and hallways of our home when they were there. Fast forward, when I hear a song that sounds great, I text the MV link to my son and daughter, now 25 and 23. And sadly, they blow me off. Why? They both shared with me that the toxic fandoms and cancel culture became too much for them growing up into adulthood. They knew the inner workings that I simply didn't know. Between the ARMY fan wars, the news of company abuse, like J-pop's The Johnny scandal, as well as subordinate unwanted essay, and then losing Jonghyun and Sully, my kiddos were on their way out of standing K-pop as well as J-pop. At first, I really didn't get it. I mean, look at the music. The stage presence of these groups. Me at 56 years old, being a teenager and a young adult during the 80s and 90s, fangirling the likes of Prince, Michael Jackson, new wave, punk artists, R&B, and the big hair heavy metal artists. All of them wore makeup, had stage presence, and were choreographed. So what's not to like anymore? K-pop music and talents made my empty nest feel full, like home again, during the most isolated time of my life. I honestly had no clue that toxic fandoms were even a real thing that actually existed until the world shut down in 2020. With all this newfound free time on my hands and social distancing, I was absolutely distraught. One night, I accidentally fell asleep on YouTube. I actually rediscovered K-pop, and to stay sane, I got into K-pop, not just the music and artists, but the culture, companies, and functionality. As much as I attribute K-pop for making me feel less lonely during the pandemic, I've also seen and learned just how cruel and lonely K-pop expectations of the idols could be for merely being a normal human being. It was a lot to take in. Turns out, common sense isn't common in Korea. Not for all. For many K-pop stans. I enjoy it so much. But honestly, now I get why my now grown kids stepped back. Empaths feel deeply when bullies threaten vulnerable idols. I've cut back some for the sake of my own mental well-being, but I'm angry with SM. If they'd stop bowing down to these rage-baiting bullies, maybe the culture would change once and for all. Deep down, no one wants to boycott and chance further harm to remaining members. But if a boycott is necessary, and I believe it is, and it changes things like dating rules and holds toxic funeral wreath sasaengs responsible by law down the line, then I applaud the pressure that international stands have spearheaded holding these companies accountable. I hate how it might make the standing idols feel, but hopefully taking a stance against mistreatment of idols will make a difference going forward. This comment says everything. This is from a mother who is around my parents' age. I literally got my mom into K-pop 3 years ago, and she's been on many of my videos with me talking about K-pop, reacting to K-pop, and liking it a lot. So much so that she asked me, what's my playlist, and could I send her some of the music from my playlist to her playlist. So yeah, that it's become a big part of my life, especially as a K-tuber. But to hear and read someone else's experience, and it doesn't really matter how old you are, someone who their kids loved K-pop, but then they started seeing all of this stuff. And honestly, I think I understand. My younger brother is also not as into K-pop as he used to be. And it's funny because, like I said, for those of you who have been on my channel for a long time, I dogged my brother so much because he liked K-pop. Then I started liking K-pop secretly, and I still dogged him even though I liked it myself and tried to hide it. But I loved K-pop, but not as much as Dorian at the time. Dorian was very, very much a K-pop fan, and he loved SHINee. SHINee was, I think, his favorite K-pop group, between SHINee and Big Bang. And then, Jonghyun had passed away, and slowly my brother started kind of getting out of the K-pop loving phase, because he knew about what was going on. He even told me that there's going to come a day when EXO is dropped by SM, and they're going to put all of their money mainly into the next new group. And it happens all the time in companies, especially in SM. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. SM is just too popular. I didn't know a thing about what companies did. Dorian did. He did. So when it happened, I said, dang, he was right, And that's just a mild thing. That's not even covering the abuse that idols go through with companies just using them up, having them go on so many schedules, having them do umpteen fan meetings, a ton of concerts, all of these promotional things that they got to do going on variety shows and stuff. These people are tired, exhausted, and then they get health issues because of it. They're not getting proper sleep. They're not getting proper nutrients. They're being told to diet extremely. You need to lose this certain amount of weight. So you see idols looking sometimes malnourished, and it's just toxic. And then you've got the fan aspect where, especially in Korea, they praise slim bodies, but then if you get too small, then they say, oh, something's going on. If you gain a little weight, they're like, oh, look at how fat they've gotten. You know, so it becomes toxic on that end too. You know, these are the little bitty things that a lot of people don't notice, like if you're new to K-pop. But my brother knew about all this stuff. I did not. I didn't pay attention to this. When I started getting into K-pop, before I started my channel, I started realizing, okay, this is pretty bad. I understand now why so many idols have such a hard time. I understand why even some Korean celebrities who are actors and actresses have a hard time. It's tough when you're getting into it and you see all of this and you're like, okay, I see now why my child doesn't really like K-pop anymore. And how can they? Like, I can understand why my brother, he still likes it, but he has safely distanced himself from K-pop to the degree where it's not like impeding on his mental health, because when Jonghyun passed, that was devastating for him. But Dorian kept telling me, like, Jonghyun kept saying he was depressed and people were ignoring it. People were not seeing it. And I'm only bringing up Jonghyun, guys, because my brother is a huge SHINee fan. If you think I'm a huge SHINee fan, you should hear my brother talk about SHINee. He was a SHINee fan before I was even into K-pop. So, but Jonghyun was, I think, my brother's favorite. And so my brother was like, yeah, I'm going to take a step back for a while because I just don't think I can handle all of this stuff, because it was devastating. The point is, I understand why people who have been K-pop fans for a long time, when they see stuff like abuse, when they see stuff like SA, when they see stuff like stories where when female idols are being given over to businessmen who are supposed to be investing in the company, investing specifically in the idols' futures, why those stories are so damaging to a person's perspective of K-pop or J-pop, that they would just back away. Because it's like there's dark deeds being done behind the scenes that idols are too scared to talk about, too traumatized to talk about, and it could be detrimental to their career if they do. There's so many reasons why they don't. The companies have power that they could just completely blacklist, destroy a person's career, their livelihood and everything, just by them speaking out. Or the idol was so manipulated emotionally that they don't see that what the person did was bad. They know it was wrong, but they don't view it that way, because there's a sense of gratefulness that they still have towards the person who gave them their career or the company that gave them their career. And so instead of like lashing out, they are very thankful to them because they've been so warped by what the CEO or what the manager or what the company or whoever has done to them. And so it's very dark. So I understand. Do I think that we need to talk about these things? Yes. I think too often we shy away because we don't want to be bothered with the negative stuff anymore. I think we do need a balance of positive content creators because there's not a lot of them. But I think that we need to also talk about the negative aspects too, because a lot of this stuff was brought to light years ago. I think it needs to be brought back, as well as appreciation for K-pop and J-pop. But also, like I said, we need to talk about these serious issues too. And I know a lot of people may not like that, but it is the reality of the situation. We cannot let these idols' voices be shot down because nobody will listen to them. You know, the reason why I do what I do, one of the reasons, is because I believe that there are idols that wish they could say something, but they can't. They don't have the power to. They're at the behest of the company. They can't say anything. And they're drowning in depression. They're drowning in what has happened to them. You know what I mean? They can't do anything about any of this stuff. And they wonder, like, does anybody know? Is anybody listening to me? Does anybody see my subtle cries for help? Does anybody know? Does anybody care? And my channel exists to say that we do, which is why I talk about parasocial relationships. That's why I talk about Asians being heavily criticized by Black K-pop fans who cry out cultural appropriation for stuff that's not cultural appropriation. That's why I do this. I guess you could say in a way my channel is to advocate for idols. But if an idol does something to a victim and it's actually true and it's proven true and all that, then yeah, my heart goes out to the victim. And I make videos about things like that. But right now, we are seeing so much crap going on with K-pop idols who've done nothing but be normal people, and it's not okay. We really do need to go back to talking about this stuff. So, Auntie Rob, thank you for your comment. And yeah, I don't know how long this video is going to be. Hopefully it's not going to be too long, but I really wanted to highlight this because it's very important. Let's fight for these idols. This is why I say we need to fight for them. This is why I say it. For things like what Auntie Rob just said. For things like how my brother felt about Jonghyun and Sully and Gohara and all these other idols and celebrities. All of these people that are suffering because of hate comments, cyberbullying, being held to a higher standard, and it causes pressure that should not be there. The pressure to lead a perfect life in front of the cameras, the pressure knowing that you're constantly being followed. All of your movements are being watched. Everything you do is being heavily scrutinized and looked at under a microscope, and having to live that life is pressure. You lose yourself in this life, this idol celebrity life, to the point where a lot of idols can't tell the difference between the persona that they have displayed on stage, the persona that the companies want them to showcase, and who they really are as people, as human beings. And so this thing causes mental instability. And of course, you've got situations like what I believe is happening with Min Hee-jin and New Jeans, that Min Hee-jin has caused so much harm to the natural development of these young girls that they are now spewing the same kind of nonsense that Min Hee-jin has been spewing. They talk like her, they act like her, and they're not going to mature properly if left unchecked like they have been. It's all the fault of people in charge, the people that the parents entrust their children to, the companies that the parents entrust their children to. We have to see this for what it is and stop ignoring it and denying it and pretending it's not there. And, well, I know it's happening, but let's talk about this instead. And I get it, but the more things go ignored, especially bad things like this, the more it gives the green light to just let it keep going. We have to challenge it. We have to confront it. I think we're doing that now. I think we've had enough, especially in the international fandom. We've had enough. And so we're taking a stand. And I've been trying to do this on my channel, and now I see that things are happening now. And I'm very happy to see it. I hope that it continues. So I'm going to get off of here. I think I've said enough. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Auntie Rob, thank you for your comment. It really does speak to where we are now. But yes, thank you guys. And until next time, it'll be your boy Aves signing out. Peace. Love you guys.